Hi, this is Stephen Brower from Merritt Valley Community College. Welcome to Computer Literacy over the summer of 2017. This video here, I want to talk about getting into web study and then a little bit about due dates, and there'll be other videos talking about other things. So from pwmanager.raritanval.edu, you would use your G number and your regular password that you use for Lion's Den to go in here. Now my screen's a little bit different because I was playing with the colors, but I'm going to click on this icon here for web study. Web study, by the way, is a learning management system, and there are different learning management systems out there. And for those that have seen other learning management systems before, I'm sorry for the web study you're going to see. For those that haven't seen a learning management system before, all I have to say is when you see a real one after this, you'll appreciate the other one that much better. There's a number of bugs in web study. Anyway, when you first get into web study, you should have for summer 2017 a link for computer literacy. I'll go into that. Normally at this point I would switch to student mode, but since I didn't enable the dates yet, I'm in as an instructor, so things look a little bit different. By the way, the reason why there's so many names you're going to see throughout the course is the shell for the course was created by Stephen Schwartz, Ashley Paris, and Donald DeZotis, and so you're going to see their names. Probably you're going to see Schwartz more than the other names. You're going to see their names on some of the material, but I, Stephen Brower, B-R-O-W-E-R, I am the teacher for this section. Let me jump right to the timeline. You're probably going to spend most of your time in the timeline, and so there's a link over here on the left for the timeline, and I'm going to scroll down just a little bit down here. Actually, let me do a sorry, it's because I'm on instructor mode. The main part of the timeline is a chronological view of the entire course. So the whole course would be down in this timeline from our first week down to week 9. Now, each of these gray bars here is what's called a session, and so it varies from course to course what a session would be. What I'm using the session to be is sort of like the unit of work that we're going to be doing. One of the things that I have done for this course is I'm using Mondays and Thursdays as our due dates. So there's going to be some things that are due on Monday, some things that are due on Thursday. When you choose to do work throughout the week, that's going to be up to you. I mean, in theory, on Saturdays, you could actually do the work for the rest of the week. Meaning, so like this Saturday, was it the 17th, you actually could do the work for the items due the 19th or the 22nd. So you don't have to wait until a Monday to submit something. You don't have to wait until a Thursday to submit something. And there's several reasons why I chose specifically Monday and Thursday. I am teaching another class on campus. I'm going to have office hours Monday and Thursday afternoon. So if anyone is having any issues submitting work on Mondays and Thursdays, I'll be in my office up until the time of my class, and then while I'm in my class, now obviously when I'm in class I can't check my mail in the system, but once we get to lab, it's the kind of thing that I can check on. Okay, and so that's why I'm doing the Mondays and Thursdays. So it's going to vary on each session the amount of material that is there. Probably the one with the least number of assignments but the most number of links is going to be the course overview. So the course overview has some information on doing certain things like how to open a document for editing, how to submit assignments, how to get Office, how to post into the discussion board. So the course overview has a lot of overview type stuff. In terms of, let me just pick, well, let me look at Thursday the 15th. So for this Thursday coming up, the 15th, and I'll jump down to the punchline down here. Down here would be the session coursework. These would be the items that would be due for that session. So for this Thursday the 15th, there's forum to introduce yourselves, and then there are these two quote-unquote lab assignments here one for Office and one for Word. Whenever you see A's and B's, like here 12A flyer, 11B memo, A's and B's are the detailed steps that are in the book that will instruct you to do something, sort of like to create a document, or create a spreadsheet, or create a database, or create a presentation. So the A's and the B's have very detailed steps. The text around the steps explain why things work the way they do, or they have more other annotations. So it's kind of like a purposeful textbook where there's a thread of creating something through the chapter, and there's a series of items that it will mention. So anyway, when you see the A's and the B's, those are going to be the labs that we have. So there's two pieces to it, but if we were in class, we would do these two for the lab that would be for this Thursday. And let me just peek ahead just to another. Let me look the following Monday, the 19th, and scroll down to the punchline, the stuff that's here. So there's a discussion forum. There's a lab. Now this thing here that says exam, don't freak out. The concepts, as you see here, there's this link for this concepts chapter 1. The concepts is more information about computers as opposed to the Office products, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, Microsoft PowerPoint. The concepts more information about computers. Instead of having you submit homework, you're actually going to take a quote-unquote a quiz. It's a 10-question quiz, combination of multiple choice and true false. You'll have 90 minutes to do the 10 questions. That's 9 minutes a question, which means you can do it as open note, open book. You're encouraged to look at the material in the chapter first before you do the quiz, so it'll kind of go faster. You don't want to run out of time relying on doing open note, open book. So don't freak out when you're seeing that there's a quiz coming up next Monday. Just think of it as that's the homework for the first chapter. Now, so I did peek at this Thursday, and I did peek to next Monday. And the thing is, don't wait until this Thursday to do the Thursday stuff. Don't wait till next Monday to do the Monday stuff. Always want to look ahead. So right now, I mean, the course is opening on Monday the 12th. You should look ahead to this Thursday, the 15th, to see what's there. So between now, Monday and Thursday, you can start working on the items that are due on the 15th. After you finish the stuff for this Thursday, then look ahead to the following Monday, the 19th, and start working. So basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, work on the items that were going to be due Monday. Again, you pick throughout, in a sense, the days when you want to work on something. You can jump ahead and do a number of things early, but you can't do things late. So let's say you just have a really good weekend. You in theory could do all the labs and the projects for Word and Excel and Access and PowerPoint and get all the labs and projects done and submit them by Sunday. By the way, there's no extra points for that, but in theory you could jump ahead. So going ahead is easy. It's you just don't want to be behind. Okay, there's one thing I forgot to mention over here, and that is on top of the timeline, we have the syllabus and there's the class schedule. The class schedule should match the timeline, and the reason why I have them as two separate files is that if for some reason, the main thing is if there's like a power outage on campus, and some people do need to use the computers on campus because they don't have access at home or access to computers at home. So if we do have a power outage on campus, I will actually go and change some of the dates. But what the class schedule then kind of shows is sort of like the semester at a glance, and the two columns, it's the stuff for Monday and Thursday. So for Monday the 12th, there's nothing due. For this Thursday, there's that discussion forum, and then those two Office, those labs. And then for next Monday, there's that chapter 1, the discussion, the quiz, and then the next lab. So the schedule then kind of shows throughout the semester then when the different things are due. So there's a project, here's an exam, and it just goes through to finally the end of the semester. The 17th of August is going to be our last two assignments, which is the PowerPoint exam and the concepts exam. Everything that's here on this schedule here should match everything that's on the timeline here. So it's just laid out a little bit differently. What some students have done in the past is they've printed this schedule, and then as they complete things, they will go and check them off. So they use, for those that still use paper, maybe it's just old people like me, but for those that like using paper, it's you print out the schedule. It'll be easier to sort of print out, and then you can just kind of check things off as you go along. And also, it's almost easier in this view to glance ahead and see what's coming up than it is in the timeline view. The other link that's up here, which is the syllabus, this actually has more policy information, and it gets into sort of like the weight of certain things. Let me just kind of jump down here, and I know I'm skipping over stuff, but the idea is you can read it. But this would be the weight of everything that is throughout the course. So remember when that thing said exam, and I said it's the end of chapter quiz, and said don't worry too much about it. There's going to be 8 quizzes, and if you notice, it's only 5% of the grade for the course. So don't freak out over those quizzes because there's not much for those, but at least you can take a look in terms of the grade determinants and see what things are worth. Some of the part of the syllabus here goes into explanation. Some of it is a repeat of the glossary. Some of it is a repeat of the course overview. But what I try to do is for the grading criteria items, I try to go through and then describe. I'm using my hand like you can see my hand. I try to go through here and describe a little more detail on which each of these items are in terms of the grading criteria. And there's also some policies in here. It's the kind of thing that you should review the syllabus and just make sure you're okay with all of the policies that are there. Okay, so I pointed out the syllabus and the schedule. I did a brief overview of the timeline. Oh, I mentioned the glossary, but I didn't actually go into it. There's a handful of things that I have defined here in the glossary. For example, one of them, due date versus end date. The due date is when an assignment is due. The end date is when it disappears from web study. The end date is the last day to submit something late. After the end date is 0, and because of the penalty, it's like each day that it's late, it's -10, -10, -10. It dwindles down until finally it's not worth anything. I just kind of want to emphasize this because the way WebStudy lays out some of their calendar dates is some things they only show the end date, they don't show the due date. So just be very mindful of when something is due, not when something will expire. Okay, so again, some other videos are going to a little more details and some other things, but we use the PW Manager. The PW Manager to log on, use your ID, your G number and your password, the same as Lions Den, to log on. Clicked on Web Study. Once we got into Web Study, clicked on the course, and I pointed out the timeline. You're probably spending most of your time in the timeline. So some other videos are going to go a little more details on like how we actually submit assignment, how you actually do a posting in the discussion board, and other things like that. Welcome to Computer Literacy. I hope we have a good summer and hope the heat breaks sometime soon to spare our computer systems. Have a great summer.